welcome to another video in our Green Dream series. I'm ESG Clarity Deputy Editor Natasha Turner, and today I'm joined by Douglas Farquhar, Client Portfolio Manager for the Green Bond Strategy at NN Investment Partners. It's great to have you with us today, Douglas.
Thank you.
Well, let's dive straight in then. So what is the environmental impact of Treasury and government green bonds compared with their corporate counterparts?
Yes, so it's quite interesting. That's probably the biggest difference between Treasury and government related green bonds and corporate bonds is the areas that they have impact. So what we see with Treasury and government related is that most of the issuers tend to be from European sovereigns so far, and they are actually tackling the biggest greenhouse gas emissions within the European Union, which is the energy supply, transportation and agriculture. So within the categories, we've seen that the top categories for Treasury and government related are clean transport, with almost 40% of the proceeds being directed to this category, followed by sustainable management of natural resources, which includes sustainable agriculture. Renewables are generally mentioned in those frameworks, but typically only about 9% of the proceeds are actually being allocated to those projects. In corporate green bonds, renewable energy is by far and away the biggest category that proceeds are allocated to, followed by energy efficiency and green buildings. So quite different impact areas.
And presumably as these things grow, then that opens more opportunities, and sort of related to that is, I guess, your new sovereign green bond fund. NNIP recently launched this new fund. How is this unique and what does it comprise? Tell me a bit about the fund.
So we think it's the first dedicated Treasury and government related fund that aims to have a positive environmental impact through the projects it finances. The new fund follows exactly the same investment approach as our other green bond products, but invests solely in Treasury and government related bonds. So we've combined those segments of the market because they're very similar in terms of they either have a partial or full government guarantee. The fund will initially invest in around 60 issuers. As no green Treasury benchmark exists, we've actually had to create a customized Treasury and government related green bond index using the Bloomberg Barclays MSCI Green Bond Index family.
Mm-hmm. And can you give me any examples of issuers you're particularly excited about?
Well, obviously we've seen Italy come to the market quite recently, and we've seen previous green bond issuances from Germany, Sweden, Luxembourg and the Netherlands. So those are all very interesting to see, as they normally comprise a big part of investors' government and sovereign related fixed income allocation. So the fact that they have issued in the green format means that investors can start to replace their existing fixed income portfolio with a green equivalent.
Well, that leads on, I guess, quite nicely to what you expect to see in the green bond market as a whole this year and even beyond.
Yes, we're quite excited about this year. So after green bond issuance kind of being a little bit flat last year, primarily because of the disruption through COVID and the rise in the popularity of social bonds as a response to that, we expect issuance this year to exceed 400 billion euros. And in fact, in March, we saw record issuance of 57 billion euros, so the biggest month of green bond issuance ever. What we think is really driving that issuance is we're seeing more sovereigns come to the market. So on top of Italy and the ones I've already mentioned, we're going to see first UK sovereign green bonds from the UK and from Spain. And we're also going to see the start of the EU's green bond issuance programme as part of financing the next generation EU plan. So that will be 250 billion euros of green bonds starting in the second half of this year, which will make the EU the biggest issuer of green bonds globally. But also, we're seeing more positive signs from the US with the Biden administration and a more favourable policy environment. So we expect to see further issuance from the US. And also China, who historically have been a big issuer of green bonds and have fallen back a little bit. We're starting to see more emerging market green bond issuance, in particular with China, as a result of their pledge for net zero by 2060. The other developments that we're looking forward to this year are some regulatory changes. So we have the introduction of the EU taxonomy and the green bond standard, and we think that's very positive in terms of improving transparency and disclosure in the market.
Definitely, and recent exciting developments in that area as well. Okay, well, we always end on our light-hearted question, which is, what is your favourite sustainable snack or drink?
Okay, so as you can tell probably from my accent, I come from Scotland. However, I'm not much of a whiskey drinker, but I do like gin. And one of those is the Isle of Harris gin. So this is a distillery that's been set up on the Isle of Harris in the Outer Hebrides as a social enterprise to encourage employment and create job opportunities that people may not otherwise have. And so not only does it have a social benefit, it actually has an environmental benefit, because the botanical that they use in the production of the gin is sugar kelp, which is a type of seaweed that's hand collected by local divers. So for me, it's one of my favorite drinks, even though it is alcoholic, and it has social and environmental benefits.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Definitely gonna have to try some of that.
I would encourage you to try it. It's very, very good. Yeah.
If you promise the taste is good and doesn't taste just like sea kelp, then I'll definitely give it a go.
No, I can promise it's definitely worth tasting, and the seaweed is a very mild flavour.
Brilliant. Well, thanks so much for chatting with us today, Douglas.
No, thank you, Natasha. It's been really enjoyable.